And I want to thank the fans for introducing us to BTS, because now I'll play this song to a friend and be like, look at this song, isn't that great? And then they're like, it's all right. And then, I never would have thought I would have enjoyed watching romance shows, and here we are. This guy crying all the time. When we watch,
don't put me out there.
I haven't cried yet. No show has made me cry yet. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Reactorverse Podcast, brought to you by Passion Fruit. I'm joined today by two guys who are relative newcomers to the space compared to some of the other people I've had on so far, but in just a few short years, they've managed to make their own impact and their own footprint on the space. It is Jeff and Tobz from Core4VT Reacts.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. I really appreciate you being here. Like I said, I've found your channel obviously through the last couple of years when you started really kicking up through the pandemic era, and that's such a significant part of the reaction space at this time now that we're a few years into it. You're affectionately what I call the pandemic babies of the space, people who sort of kicked up during, and you thrived during that time, which is like such a important part of like how your channel grew, I think, and I really want to sort of examine that with you. But besides that, you guys obviously launched into the Reactorverse, as we call it, very quickly with a handful of shows really early on that sort of helped you kind of really climb the ranks there, and now you're close to 100K subscribers, so congrats on that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We appreciate that.
You're on the threshold of it right now. Right. So to venture obviously to the start of the whole thing, to get back to the start of the channel, I'm curious how the channel got started, because looking back at it, you started with vlog content, and that was kind of like a natural gateway a lot of reactors sort of start with. You start with that, it evolves into like sitting down with your friends, watching stuff. And I want to ask, what was the sort of motivation behind that, starting the channel with the vlog content?
So what kind of happened was, if you go on YouTube, there's always people vlogging, just kind of like expressing who they are. And so I always thought like our friend group was always a group that is just, we're funny. So basically, whenever we hung out, it was a kind of time to just like, how about we just sit here and vlog everything? And that's kind of how everything started. And so we have a big friend group, and it's kind of silly when you think about it, but we kind of like name ourselves, like create a name. And so the big group was called the Vibe Tribe, hence the VT.
Right.
And it was me and 3 other guys. We also called ourselves the Core4. And so basically we're just kind of like hanging out with each other, and just whatever we do, we just record it. And basically the vlogs, they weren't really doing numbers like that. We created about maybe like 10, 15 vlogs. They weren't really doing numbers like that. And there'd be some tough times where we have to like meet up, because we had a big friend group. And so like having a big friend group and meeting up all at the same time is kind of hard. Right. So basically, since a lot of the times we couldn't meet up, I just took it upon myself to record reactions to certain shows that I was interested in. So if you look back way in the channel, I recorded Legend of Korra.
Yep.
And I started to see a trend of the views getting higher, the subscriber count getting higher, and I was just like, So instead of having a Core4VT vlogs, I changed it to Core4VT Reacts.
Right.
And since the subscriber count was going up, the views were going up, and then at one point Jeff, he hit me up, and when all the Marvel MCU Disney shows were coming out, he texted me saying, well, we should react to WandaVision. And for some reason it didn't happen. And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out shortly after. And that's when we started recording. And then, once we started recording episode by episode, our views were going up, the subscribers were going up. It was like wildfire. Yeah. And I would never forget episode 4. That's when we hit 20,000 views. And for somebody that's starting out on YouTube, 20,000 views is a lot.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, we did Loki, and then Invincible, and then it kind of just stuck and we kept recording.
Kind of to echo off what he said, I remember when he was like, when he spoke about doing the Legend of Korra, when he was doing Legend of Korra like right in the pandemic. So I believe you had like pretty much nothing really else to do, and you were kind of like, let me just do something for fun, just to keep the videos and content going. So I remember hitting you up when you had hit maybe, I think he had maybe about 500 views. And to me, you know, the average person, I was like, wow, that's crazy, because when you normally release a YouTube video, you're not expecting very much from it, especially if you don't have like, you know, a core following or anything like that.
Yeah.
But so that, like you said, when you hit around 500, I was like, you know, the Disney Plus shows are getting ready to drop on TV. You know, you should consider watching those. Like you said, we WandaVision came out, and we kind of like wanted to see how the show was going, to see if it was a good enough like show to react to. And then when Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out, we were like, let's just do it. Why not?
Yeah.
Right. And Jeff, you were part of those early vlogs too. You were kind of there from the beginning in some element. I guess I wanted to ask, how did you two meet? What's the story there?
Yeah, so actually we've been friends since high school. So I think that might have been maybe 2015, 16, maybe even 14. I think we got into high school, but I don't think we were like officially like hanging out and doing stuff until
2008.
Oh shoot! Yeah.
That's college.
A few years ago, before the channel started.
Right. No, way before that actually. 2007, 8 was when we actually first met. I don't know. I mean, we were probably like 14, 15. You know, high school. So then we had the same friend group, and we always just kind of hung out ever since then. So we've always been really close, and we've always lived fairly close to each other. So. That's pretty much the story on that.
Yeah. And yeah, you mentioned like, shifting from the vlogs into the reactions in that first year. Obviously it was difficult to, I guess you could say, get everyone together because of the pandemic, sort of shutting everything down. Coordinating that must have been like a uphill battle that first year, trying to get that going. When you started with Legend of Korra, did you have sort of an understanding of the reaction space? Was it something you had already been like sort of informed upon, but from like other channels?
Yes. So back in the day, I always watched reaction videos. I loved it because, you know, the fact that you can watch something and then watch a group of reactors and then you guys having the same emotions and feelings at the end of the video is just amazing. So I always told myself, I have amazing reactions when I'm completely like mind blown to certain things. You know what I mean? So I was just like, you know, if they can do it, why can't I? And one struggle and one challenge I will say was editing the videos and not getting copyrighted, because I didn't have a formula. I tried to, you know, see what the other reactors were doing, but whenever I did it, it would just get blocked or get copyrighted. I almost gave up. So, but I was just like, let me just keep trying. And then eventually it got through, and it said no restrictions. And then I was just like, is it eventually going to say I'm copyrighted later? Because, you know what I mean? So, and then, that's kind of how that happened.
Yeah, the Legend of Korra reaction started in the middle of season 3. Was that where you actually started, or did the handful before that get claimed and taken down? Was that the issue?
Yeah, so I watched because I loved Avatar: The Last Airbender. And so I watched Korra, the first season, the second season. I think with the third season or second season, it happened so long ago. I tried to edit those reactions, but those videos just wouldn't upload, so I just kept on watching. And then eventually I got to a certain point to whatever episode that I first uploaded, that video got through, and I ended up uploading it. Yeah.
Right. And then from there you were able to finish out the season on that. Like you said, eventually you evolved into the next step, which was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, making that the group reactions when you brought in RJ and Jeff. Jeff, did you yourself know about the reaction space, or did you have to kind of explain to him what the deal was for that?
It's kind of funny because what you say is kind of the opposite. Is when I started to see that his videos were starting to get some views, I was like, people really watch videos of other people watching videos.
Yeah.
And I really like looked into it, and it was a huge thing, and it still is a huge thing. It's getting even bigger. I myself fell down that rabbit hole, and I didn't watch the shows. I was a big trailer person. So I loved watching some of the especially like Infinity War reaction trailer. Like that's around that Marvel time. I was like, that's when I really started to get into the reaction like universe, I guess. Where I was like, oh man, like this is actually fun to see other people have similar reactions that I have. And I think Toby's one of a great, something that people always say about Toby is his eyes. They always comment his eyes when they pop out.
Yeah.
And I love watching our videos because I love seeing some of his reactions, some of his facial expressions that I didn't get to see because obviously I'm watching what we're watching, so I don't get to see him react to stuff. So I really find that enjoyable now, especially I'm in it.
Yeah, and I just don't even realize, and like my facial expressions, I just react, you know.
Yeah. You're right. That's a good novelty to go back and watch. If you have partners, you know, you get to be able to see what you couldn't see from the side of you when you were recording it. Right. So yeah, you started with Falcon the Winter Soldier after Legend of Korra, and that sort of launched you further into the reactor space because I spoke with my friend Greg Alba about it, and the way he put it was, you know, after a year of the pandemic, everyone's sort of being isolated. Those Marvel TV shows, WandaVision, Loki, Falcon the Winter Soldier, they sort of had that water cooler moment where everyone was really eager to get online and talk about them, share experiences and thoughts about it, especially in that early era when like the possibilities seemed endless for where they were going to go. Another part of it was that I found you guys from the gamma ray reaction compilations that were being put out at that time, which were being edited by Johnny Odell, who's now on his own channel, J2O. And I really love his work because I think his work brings a important cohesiveness to the reaction space, like just having everyone together and showing kind of like the similarities, but also the variety in which there is in the reaction sphere. And so I found you through that. I guess at that time, were you sort of feeling the immersion into like the reactor space, you know, through being part of that, and also just the discussions going on around the shows?
I guess I never really thought that we were ever gonna to be honest, just blow up. So when we were doing these reaction videos, and I remember the very first time, like you said, when Johnny was doing these videos, I mean, I felt like I almost like stardom or something like that. It sounds dumb, but we were like, wait, someone took time out of their day to edit our videos into their own video, and they've also watched 10 other reactors. It feels like maybe it was like a building community at that point. And to be honest, we've watched a lot of the other reactors who were on the same thing, and I've loved seeing some of them grow because a lot of them started off like where we were just had like a very small following at that point.
Exactly.
And slowly and gradually became just, like I said, like a bigger thing.
Yeah, a lot of people that were actually on Johnny's compilation I watched before reacting. So the fact that our videos are in the same video with the other reactors, it was crazy. I didn't expect that at all. So at first, I think it was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So when I saw that, it was just like, wow, like we're already picking up from our own videos and uploading and people seeing them. But the fact that we're getting like publicity and we're getting recognition and people are acknowledging us in his videos, it was like wildfire.
Right. And then once you started going, you like next was Loki, you know, like I said, then Invincible. Those two shows were the sort of smart pivots because it was just like, again, it was that year of like really incredible new shows that people were really excited to jump on and be a part of for the conversation about it. And you sort of stuck with that format for a while where you didn't immediately jump into like a large rotation of things to start putting out like a lot of channels do. You sort of like focus on one at a time and let it build naturally that way. Was that due to like any sort of specific strategy, or was it more like just time constraints of like we can only do like one at a time for now?
I think we just wanted to start it off slow, just one at a time. Also, the Marvel shows were really trending at the time, just because it's the first time Marvel has done that. So I think that's pretty much what it was. Just
I can speak for both of us. A lot of it also had to do with just time frame, the time that we had to record, and the time that you had to edit, because I think back then when you were editing the videos, it took you a little longer than it does, much longer than it does now.
Just starting out.
You kind of were just
right.
You were kind of just learning to do it and watching other videos in order to learn how to do it and what to do, what to add, which parts to
take out. Yeah.
That it's unfortunate a little bit for us, because it's even been like that till now, because I think there's a lot of stuff that we want to get into. We just don't have the time because we have other jobs and just family. But the hope is that we actually start releasing more and recording more. So that's the hopes that we eventually can get there to that point.
Right.
But I think that was the main thing. It was just like, we can't do too many shows, because then we don't want to be one of those channels that doesn't finish the show.
Exactly.
Or takes forever to finish the show. Or we want to have that consistent video coming out maybe every other day or so. Or it was less than that. I mean, I think it was maybe like every 3 or 4 days. Yeah. Now we're trying to at least release, I think, maybe daily or every other day.
Definitely. Yeah. The risk of overpromising, under delivering, is always the thing that you don't want to run into. I think, as any creator says. And for that week to week show that you were following, with Invincible and so on, it was a decent strategy at that time, because you were catching the algorithmic wave of shows kind of carrying you into like everyone else's recommended and feeds and so on. It was a good way to sort of like sustain yourself at that beginning. And then I think the big show that really sort of kicked up a new era for the channel was Squid Game. Squid Game became such a huge show for you, and that sort of set a precedent for what a part of what the channel would become, which is like Korean content. And that is now such like a significant part of like what your rotation is. Korean content, the shows or films, like, was that something you were familiar with before starting the channel?
Not at all. I think Squid Game definitely brought more awareness to K-dramas, especially for me, because I wasn't really watching Korean dramas like that. Once we did Squid Game, we kind of just got, people loved our reaction so much that people were just like recommending different K-dramas. And then one of the K-dramas they recommended that we looked into was called My Name. And then we absolutely loved, that's actually one of our top K-dramas right now.
I had no idea that the Korean film genre was so huge the way that it is here. Like, you always imagine, you see these shows on Netflix and then you think to yourself, oh, this is probably just for the global content. But really, there's a lot of people here in the US who just love these shows. And like you said, and when we watched Squid Game, there was just so many recommendations for shows like My Name, to as we were like, well, this show did so well, why don't we just, capitalize and do the next thing that so many people are recommending. And once you knew it, man,
we went down the bunny hole.
And then even today, there's a bucket list of shows that we would love to watch. But just, you get into shows that have 20 episode seasons that are an hour long, and like, it's fun. We want to do it. We just don't have the time to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have.
It is
having that much stuff to watch, but it's hard to get over the hill of it. In that early era of it, were you mainly navigating it through the recommendations of like what your commenters were telling you?
I would say so.
Definitely. Yeah. Other than like the stuff that we already knew, which were mainstream, like Invincible, Game of Thrones, like Marvel stuff. But the K-dramas was definitely something that we had no idea like where to even start or where to go from. So definitely, I think the recommendations were where we pivoted and kind of helped guide us.
Yeah. Is there anything about K-dramas that feels significantly different from American television, American cinema that appeals to you?
Yeah, I think it's the culture. The culture is really different. We actually plan on taking a trip to South Korea There's sometimes some things that we just don't understand, but people will put in the comments and tell us what it means.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I think they focus a lot on the quality of building up a character.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I would say, which is the difference. I think sometimes a lot of the shows here are much about that action-packed, like big scene, whereas some of the K-dramas take their time, kind of building the scene or the story, which is, in a way, like I said, it's good and bad, because we get some of these shows that are Marvel shows and they're just 6 episodes long, and you're done with the show.
Right.
8 episodes, and I do love that. The bad thing about some of the K-dramas is, sometimes they're a little longer. So you get the good and the bad and everything in the middle. So
right. And I guess the audience, the commenters' audience, like, was that? Do you recall kind of what that shift was, finding like new commenters and audience members through the K-dramas?
Yeah, I remember significantly. Once I say it, you'll probably remember. Is once we started doing some of these like K-dramas that were more about maybe romance or just a regular story. It was, or even not even just regular stuff. The fans just absolutely love it and just say amazing, great things, such as like, we love your reactions. We love this. I showed this to my mom, showed this to my, family members. Like, you could help get me past this moment that I was struggling with. And I was dealing with this, and that, and your videos bring me joy. So I definitely do think that these shows sometimes are like just soothing for the mind sometimes. And it's really great and really like touching to see how these reaction videos are affecting other people's lives, and that we can actually do something like that. And not just them watching that show and enjoying it, but then again, getting that extra from reaction videos.
And it's crazy because some people actually tell us that they watch a certain K-drama just so they can rewatch it with us and see our reactions and understand the story. So, I mean, going back to what he said, our community is great. They check on us. They check on me more than my actual friends in real life. So, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you said that people watch some of our shows. Again, there's people who have also said that they're watching a show just because we're watching it.
Yes.
Which is
Yes,
even crazier to me, because it's like, how? Like that, we love it. It's amazing. And we do truly love our fans, because that just makes us want to keep going and keep doing what we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. That sort of symbiotic nature of input output, that, they watch it because of you. They want to see your reactions to it, so they will engage with the content itself, so that way they can enjoy it with you. Yes, it's a very big motivator. I think I've seen from a lot of channels with the way they're able to garner an audience that, again, is there for them, there for their insight and their opinions on things, and that helps generate a genuine interest among finding new things. And the fact that you ventured into K-drama, not having been exposed to it prior to the channel, is really such like a sort of miraculous, impact on like what this sort of format can do for people. Because I know, for the same thing, like Alice in Borderlands was such a big one after Squid Game that, blew up for like a lot of channels that didn't watch K-drama too. So like that's such a significant part of like how that impacts like just the culture of American viewers for this space. And that, I think, goes hand in hand with also anime. I think anime is such a big part of reactions at this point, and the sort of natural pivot people take into it. I think the first show you had on there for anime was a Spy Family. I think that was the first one you tried out for the channel.
Yes. But we ended up not finishing it because we got blocked so many times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, our first one might have been Castlevania.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right.
Some people that's a gray area. Some people consider anime, some people don't.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
as far as Spy Family, we uploaded it on YouTube, but we just kept getting blocked and copyright. I'm just like, oh my goodness. So
yeah, and that's a big part of it. That is, again, sort of the trial by fire of anime for reactions, is that it opens up like the doors to like, okay, now I got to learn like sort of the ins and outs of like navigating that content to keep it up and so on. And Yeah, it's very, very prone to blogs, prone to strikes, so on. I guess, were there any other learning curves for anime in terms of even just blocks or strikes, but even just the audience and sort of like the culture around it that you had to get through when you started it for the channel?
Yes, for anime, one thing that I just it took me a while to get used to is that they always go back in the past. They show you flashbacks. They show you what happened prior. I just couldn't get used to it, but after watching so many episodes of Attack on Titan, they just throw it at you and you just get used to it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Naruto was the one that I grew up with for a long time, and like that's the one where like they have like a very superfluous amount of flashbacks. I think like you'll see the same like event like 7 times over from different like just animated perspectives and stuff like that. Even though I really love it, it's like one of those things, like the pacing of it.
Yeah,
it does take a little bit getting used to.
Right.
Yeah, and I look forward to us continuing that anime trend because I wasn't like a big anime person.
Me neither.
The stuff that I watched was like it's not considered, but like that Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, which is like the mainstream stuff that's not like not real anime. But when we got into AOT, which is probably one of my favorite shows of all time so far, and we haven't even finished it yet.
Yeah,
but it just made me think. Okay, well, a lot of people have recommended this, but they're still in the comments recommending other animes. And if this is this great, I can't wait to just continue and watch other things.
For sure.
Right. Yeah, Attack on Titan is like a very common gateway anime for a lot of people. Like you said, like Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, like sort of Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh. Those are the things that are like expose you very early on in childhood. Same for me. Like I had the same exact sort of exposure to it. But Attack on Titan is the one I think that opens up people to it very easily because it's such a grounded story. It's very grounded in sort of like real world sort of themes, and again, pacing is such a big part of it. Like anime, as you'll get into it, has like a very distinct sort of sense of humor and pacing to it that takes a little bit of getting used to. But Attack on Titan, you're still getting through it, and actually was just watching some of your latest reactions, watching the basement episode last night, trying to catch up on things with you. It's funny when you get to the episodes like that, the really heavy stuff that throws a lot of stuff at you. Your reaction kind of goes stagnant because you're just trying to pay attention to what it's telling you,
right?
Especially when you're reading everything through subtitles.
Yes.
I was just having a really great time watching your sort of immersion in the show with that one for that episode.
We've joked about it when we're like, we're trying our best to react, and sometimes I sit there and I'm like, I haven't said anything in a long time. Maybe I should say something because I'm really trying to focus in. And a lot of people in the comments are like, you really got to pay attention because you got to look at this and look at the things in the back and look at the things over here. I'm like, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to make everyone happy at the same time and try to fully understand and grasp everything that's happening.
Right.
So, but I love it. I mean, it's my favorite job right now.
Right. Yeah. Have you had to have or make any significant changes in terms of like spoilers for the show? Because I know Attack on Titan has like a very big, or at least it did back in the day, maybe not so now because the story is done. Back in the day when people started it, like spoilers were like very, very heavily abound in comments, and people had to have mods to check everything for them. Has that been your experience like now?
I think there have been a couple times where maybe something would pop up on Instagram, but like you know how reels they'll come up, and so since our Instagram page is relating to different like shows and K-dramas and anime, I think maybe something had popped up, but I would scroll really quickly so that I wouldn't see anything. Yeah. Also, people have been really good in the comments of not spoiling anything.
That's good.
But yeah, that's pretty much.
We kind of emphasize it like in the
pinned comments.
Hey, like please don't spoil anything. If you think it's a spoiler, it
probably
a spoiler.
is exactly.
If you think
good rule of thumb,
if you should say this or not, you probably shouldn't.
Exactly.
So I think like you said, for the most part, we haven't really gotten spoiled. We've gotten really lucky with the fans. I think maybe once or twice it's been like a minor spoiler, but nothing big. And like you said on Instagram, can't even open the app anymore, to be honest.
And also, since Attack on Titan isn't on the air right now, there hasn't been really anything popping up since it's not really trending. So
we
don't really see.
I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah,
the sort of conversation goes into hibernation since they take such long breaks between
exactly.
episodes.
Are you excited for the new season? I think it drops this.
No.
It drops next month. That's the final episode. Yeah, and that'll be the end of the show. Finally, it's a show with 4 seasons that's been on for over 10 years.
Crazy.
You know?
It's crazy. Yeah. And we went through it in like what, 4 months?
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. You guys are blessed.
Yeah. We're trying to catch up. I don't think we're gonna catch up. We're probably gonna be like a few episodes right behind. We'll probably finish close to there.
Yeah.
And as soon as it comes back on air, we're gonna have to stay off Instagram because it's gonna be spoilers everywhere. So
right. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. But like closing out the year, probably with that, I think we'll close out 2023, and we're sort of getting into, yes, I think the stabilized sort of post-pandemic era of for the world in general, and also for the reaction space. Did you notice any sort of shift this past year in terms of just like the audience like engagement, or like availability, even your own availability, maybe getting back to work, in terms of like just getting back out into the world?
I will say that I personally, maybe it's just coincidence, but I feel like there's a lot more content out now, and I feel like it's harder to pinpoint what we should watch and what we shouldn't. And I never told you this before, but I can't even really watch shows outside of the channel because
me too.
I'm like, is this going to be a show that we might want to react to?
Yes.
Right.
And I'm like, maybe I should just not put it on. So half of the time, to be honest with you, I don't even watch TV that much or shows that much.
Me neither.
We're going through the same thing.
YouTube is my show. Like I watch stuff on YouTube instead of watching stuff on TV. I think there's for sure stuff that we know, okay, that we're probably not going to react to this. But I think sorry, I just kept talking. I don't even remember what question.
Is there like a shift or a change?
Oh yeah, so I think there's a lot more content now, and I think the shift and change is that maybe it's harder to figure out what's worth reacting to and what's not. Us, for example, there's a lot of Star Wars stuff that has come out, but we're mainly on the Star Wars movies and not so much shows. So when we see some of these shows that come out, we're like, do we watch it? Because we don't want to watch it and then be confused and look dumb. So I think there's just a lot more content now.
I would say so.
Yeah,
that's the change. That's the shift. There's just a lot more content. As the more shows we do, the less time that we have to do for the less time we have for other shows.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the issue of saving shows for the sake of the channel, like, it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to coordinate, with yourself.
Yeah.
I'm the same, not for the sake of outputting content, but like for the sake of having a significant other. When you watch something, you're like, I got to save it for them. So I spend my time on YouTube. That's my new show. If I'm watching stuff by myself,
exactly.
Have a lunch by myself or something, I'll watch a reaction or something.
Yeah, I've had a lot of times where I'm like watching something and I'm like, great, you're gonna get mad at me for watching it, or if I've watched it already, it's like, yeah, it's just, you already know. You have a significant other, you're like, I can't watch this without her,
right?
Or else she's gonna get mad at me. Or it's like, I have to watch this, so you got to watch this separately. We got to watch it.
Yeah. And this year obviously saw like a change in the channel, with RJ departing, and you both asked for privacy in a community post that you made about it, which we're going to respect here, obviously. But I just want to ask, in the post era of that, and now we're a few months into it, I guess, how has the dynamic sort of like stabilized between the two of you? Just like, again, having like a third person is like just significant to have like sort of like that bounce back and forth between the conversation, but now just sort of like just shifting the balance a bit. Like, how has that been for you?
I think we kind of said it in the beginning when we first sat on the couch. We were kind of like, because we always do our intro, we always do our review, so always just the commentary wasn't as much as it was when we had 3 people. So we kind of just had to learn and adapt that it's just, me and Jeff. And so as we learned and adapted as time went on, it got easier and easier to,
right.
I mean, sometimes our reviews are even like 10 minutes long sometimes. Our intros are getting longer as well. So
yeah, I think that was, like you said, that was the biggest thing for us when we were like, we actually have to talk more now. We're not used to that.
Yeah.
And it's only one person. We've seen channels that have maybe 4 or 5 people in it. And I can imagine like how much, not to say easier, but just how, like you said, just easier to bounce ideas off of. Whereas now it's like, it's you and me. It's like a one-way conversation. It's not like a group of people talking anymore. So it's now a little harder for me to say something and you to acknowledge it, and me acknowledge it, and kind of like I think that was the hardest thing for us to deal with.
Yeah, and so like there'll be some times I think in the way beginning, Jeff might have said something, and then I would just probably just agree and I have nothing to say about it. And then he would just be like, that's it? So it was just like, we just had to get used to it.
Yeah. It's an adjustment. And you mentioned, looking at other channels with like a large group of people as sort of like a template, or like sort of like, trying to bounce ideas of like how they sort of manage. Are there any sort of advice or tips that you can give to people who may be starting, who are trying to manage like a sort of group dynamic for themselves?
I can go first. I think the easiest thing it sounds really like duh to say, but I think the easiest thing is to just be yourself. And the easiest thing is to do it with friends. Someone that someone that understands your jokes.
Common interests.
Our common interest right here. We have a poster of Rush Hour, which is one of our favorite movies, which we quote and had quoted outside of the reacting thing so many times just in regular life. And so when you're watching with friends, I think it's just a lot easier to just have fun with it. And I think that's what we kind of did it before. It was because, like we said, it wasn't nothing intended behind it. We just thought, hey, it'd be fun to watch a show and see how that grows and see if people like it or not. And I think that if people wouldn't have liked it, I think we still would have been reacting to some of these shows, just because, I mean, we have so much fun watching these shows together. It's so much fun, more fun watching a show with someone than it is by yourself, personally for me.
And Jeff, you took my answer, but if I had to say another answer, I think a lot of the times when reactors are reacting to whatever they're watching, they kind of just wing it, and it comes naturally. But to answer your question, I mean, I think one advice would probably just like to write things down, because I've seen reactors write things down and then just so they don't forget. And it would add a lot more commentary. It wouldn't be as awkward. So probably writing things down, or just being more organized.
I think for me, I'm kind of used to not writing things down, but I think that if we would have first started and when we did it, I probably definitely would have done that as well.
Yeah. Having the sort of guideline afterwards for the post commentary, is very helpful. Because I know that back in the day, Toby, you mentioned like you didn't really prefer long intros, so you kind of like to jump into it right away. But that's the evolution of it. I think a lot of channels I've seen have kind of the similar dynamic where like they start off and like they have a very quick intro because like they don't really know what to say. They don't have like much input yet. But once you start fostering an audience that knows you and your insight, then that comes more naturally, because you're able to understand what you're saying is being appreciated and understood by the audience that knows you.
Exactly.
So that's very important. And guys, to sort of start winding things down a bit, I love to ask, what is the most consistent obstacle you faced with your time with the channel over the years?
The most consistent.
We kind of went over it a little bit. For me, it's just having the time to really watch these shows, because I give so much credit to some of these channels who they watch so many shows and they release so much stuff, and sometimes I think to myself, I wish I could do that. But it's also definitely a job at the end of the day, because you have to be consistent with the uploads and consistent with the content, consistent with just like advertising and putting stuff out on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. And not to say that it's not a fun thing to do at the end of the day, but I think it's very difficult to kind of juggle that with life, and then if you have another job. So I think that's the biggest struggle that I can think of.
Yeah. And for me, I think it's just like releasing the amount of content that we want. So, I mean, we would love to release like 7 shows worth of reactions, but with the time that we have in our schedule, the amount of shows that we are doing right now is most likely our limit. So I would say that's probably the most consistent challenge over the years, watching the amount of shows that we would want to. So,
yeah, right. Yeah. And how do you feel you've grown with the channel over the years on a personal level?
On a personal level?
Yes.
I think that I have a new understanding of, I guess, again, we've talked about it a little bit earlier in the interview, but just a better understanding of people and what people go through. So maybe just the compassion feeling or for people, because like I said, we've had so many people in the comments who have DM'd us and said, our relative has just passed away, and watching your show has really brought that feeling, helped me get through that feeling.
Yeah. And
so I would say that my emotions for the people and our fans and has really driven me to hope and wish that I can do this full time, and that I can continue to just put a smile on a person's face at the end of the day. If one reaction video that's 30 minutes long or however long can make someone's day better, that truly does make me happy. And to see those comments on YouTube.
Yeah.
We used to do that a lot more. I think I want to go back to just sharing it on Instagram and sharing these like heartfelt messages from people. It just makes you enjoy what you're doing at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Totally.
And to piggyback off what you said, for me, I think it's the connection with the fans. Because there have been some people that have been with us since the very beginning, and they're still with us. And we recognize their name or their Instagram name, and they'll message us, and it's just like, oh, hey, how you doing? Like, oh, hanging in there. We're doing this show coming up. I can't tell you the amount of things that we've gotten in our P.O. box. And I mean, like 3-4 pages long of how we make somebody feel. I mean, we've gotten gifts, we've gotten snacks.
Yeah.
I mean, just the connection with the fans. I never would have imagined from where we started in 2021, March, April, to like where we are now, almost at 100,000 subscribers. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, to just re-say what you're saying, I never would have thought that we would get a box full of Korean snacks or, a gift of a pillow that has our face on it. Yes. It's really crazy, and it just really makes us understand what we're doing means something, even if it just means something really small. It means a lot to us.
Exactly.
Totally. That's very perfectly said. And I think that kind of ties into my final question, which is beyond any financial or monetary value, like what is the most rewarding part of the channel? Which may be that.
Yeah. I think from, like we said, in terms of just, I also will say, just to I don't know how to say it, but it's brought us closer than we already were beforehand. We have a new bond where it's like, these shows are one thing, but our friendship has grown even more to the point to where, like, I moved close. I just bought a house and I moved closer to you because I felt like I had to, and
better.
Run down here. But yeah, I think for me that's it's built that bond between him and I. It's built that bond between because, like you said, if we're enjoying what we're doing, we're able to put out something that's very positive and hopefully the people who watch also enjoy it, feel those vibes, and just are happy at the end of the day.
Yeah. And for my answer, I mean, ever since high school, we love putting smiles on people's faces. You know, we're goofy, we're funny. And so the fact that we have stuck with that since high school and like incorporated that into the channel, it's just, I can't tell you the amount of people that have messaged us and said, oh, I had a terrible day at work. I'm so happy that I get to come home, get to eat, and then I just get to watch the videos that you guys uploaded. So,
and I want to thank the fans for introducing us to BTS, because I had no like interest in Korean music, or not to say that I had no interest, but I just wasn't on my radar.
yes.
And now I'll play this song to a friend and be like, look at this song, isn't that great? And then they're like, it's all right. And then, but yeah, I think that's very rewarding in itself, is just growing, just completely growing into different things that I never would have thought I would have watched, listened to, or enjoyed.
Perfectly said. Said. They put me on to things that I just never thought I would be into in the first place.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like romance.
Yeah,
Romance shows.
K-pop.
Never would have thought I would have enjoyed watching romance shows, and here we are, this guy crying all the time. When we watch,
don't put me out there.
I haven't cried yet. No show has made me cry yet that we've watched together, at least. So
yeah, don't worry. That just makes it all the more important when you do.
right.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
building up.
Fans are waiting.
Oh, and one thing that I don't think we brought up is just people, they love us for who we are, and it just doesn't get any better than that.
Any more rewarding than
They
that.
see how genuine we are when we're watching these shows. They show how passionate we are. It's the fact that you guys can see that through your computer screen. That says a lot. So
Right. Yeah, totally. Very, very well said. All points around. I want to get into our final questionnaire of the show, which is our just 10 questions for both of you down the line. Feel free to answer as concise or expand upon about as much as you want. Okay. So the first question is, just what is your favorite TV show?
that's hard. My favorite TV show? Oh, like of all time?
All time.
I would say, I love this show, Money Heist, the original Money Heist.
Yeah.
That show.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm trying to think of a show that comes to mind, and it's really hard to think of a show other than The Walking Dead.
I knew it.
And what's funny is that I haven't finished the show yet.
Yeah.
But the way that it made me feel back in the day, it was just, if we would have reacted back then, oh my gosh, you would have had a good reaction.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's a common thing. Yeah, The Walking Dead was a very big catalyst for early reaction channels, back in like 2016, so on. What is your favorite film?
Favorite film?
I'll make it easy.
I was just about to say. Shower two.
The series.
The series.
The 1, 2,
2 and 3. Yeah.
Other movies that I always recommend are it's Shrek. Shrek is one of my other favorite movies. I mean, it's an all-time classic, and when someone tells me that they haven't seen Shrek before, you have to watch Shrek if you haven't seen it before.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. What stresses you out?
Work that's not YouTube.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
I think what stresses me out is not probably what I mentioned earlier, not being able to release the amount of content that we want to, because a lot of our fans have recommended us a lot of K-dramas, animes. So the fact that we can't get to them because of the current shows that we're doing, it kind of stresses me out a little bit, but it's understandable because there's so many shows, we're not.
Stress.
Yeah.
Good stress, bad stress. Yeah.
Yeah. Double-edged sword. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What helps you relax?
Other than alcohol,
I would say video games for me. Video games, it mellows me out. It just takes me away from the world, and I'm just talking to my buddies on the headset and just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's just spending time with my family, going on vacations with them. Can't be more relaxed than that.
Yeah.
Right. What hobby or passion do you have outside of TV and film?
The quick one for me that I think I always use when you do some of these questions is I really like to draw and paint. So if you look at some of our old videos, it might be around Stranger Things. No, that's Stranger Things. Squid Game. I used to put some like paintings in the background, and so I used to have just like enjoyed when I had the time. I used to enjoy doing that.
So for me, the hobby is rock climbing. I rock climb in my spare time. It has lessened a little bit because of the whole YouTube thing, but that is one thing that I really enjoy doing that my friend got me into. So
yeah, awesome. What fictional character do you relate to or just care deeply about?
Oof. These are good questions.
Yeah. Good questions.
Fictional character.
Do we relate to or what?
Or just care deeply about?
Okay.
I would say for me, it was Rick Grimes from Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of the times I would catch myself like talking like him. I would talk like him. The head nods he would do to the side. Just the mannerisms of Rick Grimes, I would catch myself doing because I loved his character so much. That I remember this one time where I think I had the flu and somebody got me into The Walking Dead, and I completely binged season 1 to season 3. I think maybe like a day and a half.
Yeah.
And man, when I tell you Rick was my favorite, he was my favorite. So I would say Rick Grimes. Yeah.
I really appreciate Prince Zuko's growth.
Oh my, that's so. Oh my gosh, that was the best growth of any TV show.
Oh man, you go from hating him and being the biggest villain to like
helping him
the
be
character, and helping the main character become who they are. And I can't wait for that Netflix series to come out because I'm really hoping they do really well on that.
Yeah,
it's one of the all-time greatest redemption arcs.
Exactly.
Yeah. What is your guilty pleasure show or film?
Mine's is yours too.
What is it? I don't even know mine.
I don't know if you ever seen this show called New Girl.
Oh, yes.
That
show is phenomenal.
It's low key really funny, and the way that I got on the show was that when my son was born, I used to just like having something on the background of the TV. So I remember just like laying in bed half awake and having the show on TV, and then all of a sudden really getting into it and actually like laughing with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever seen it or not. Have you seen it?
I've seen parts of it. Yeah. I've not watched the entirety of it.
Yeah, well, I haven't watched the entirety of it either.
Me neither.
But I think I would love to sit down and actually finish that show because it's super funny.
Each character is funny.
Yeah. What show or film gave you your favorite reaction experience on the channel?
I want to say maybe Squid Game.
That's the only one that kind of keeps. I'm thinking about shows, and I think that one, and maybe Invincible.
Okay. Yes.
So maybe those two.
Yeah.
Invincible had. The first episode they killed off, which you thought were the main characters,
right?
And then the last episode, the fight. Those
fight scenes were amazing.
Just crazy. Oh, I really enjoyed watching the Game of Thrones too.
House of Dragon.
House of Dragon.
Yeah. All stuff coming back soon.
Yes.
What you're looking forward to. What show or film do you wish you could erase from your memory and react to for the first time?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That is fire.
Show or movie?
Yeah.
Because I had a show. I just can't remember it right now.
I have two, which is The Walking Dead. We talked about it.
Right.
For me, it was, like I said, it was my favorite show, and I think we would have had such great reactions to it. For movie, it would be Infinity War and Endgame. We don't really have time to do like movie reactions just because of how long some of these movies are sometimes.
Yeah.
But if I could erase it from my mind and rewatch it in person, we watched the movie in theaters together, and we were out of our seats yelling and screaming. Along with everybody else behind us. I would have loved to see my reaction watching watching those movies because I mean I think I cried. I think I cried in that in 2.
Yeah.
In Endgame.
Yeah, I think it probably this one movie. I just cannot remember the name. He was an actor and he fell down a hole, and then it was
Ninja Turtles?
No. It was an amazing movie. I can't remember the name of it, but if I had to answer for a movie I do remember, it'd probably be Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
Infinity War is my top 3 all Marvel movie of all time.
Yeah.
It's actually number 1. Yeah.
Yeah, great answers. And final question here: what advice would you give to your past self if you can go back in time when you started the channel?
I got it.
Started sooner.
Go for it. I would tell myself to go for it. I think a lot of times you doubt yourself and doubt whether or not it's going to go well. I would recommend this to myself and to everyone. If you have a passion for something and you really enjoy it, just do it, because you're only slowing yourself down by not taking that first step and that first leap to just trying. And at the end of the day, if you don't like it anymore, it's not like you can't stop, but just go ahead and just try it.
Yes.
Try sooner.
Exactly.
To combine the answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely say one big piece of advice is, like you said, just if you enjoy something and you're very passionate about something, go ahead and do it. I mean, consistency. Mm-hmm. If somebody would have asked me, what is the biggest thing that you need in order to start a YouTube channel or reactions, consistency is number 1. Mm-hmm. Just be consistent. I mean, even if it's like putting one video out a week and you're just starting out, just having that consistent video upload will just do wonders for your channel.
Yeah,
absolutely. Great advice all around, guys. I really appreciate you coming on, hanging with us today.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. Great
of
questions,
course, yeah.
by the way.
Thanks. No, it's great to having you guys on because, like I said, I found you through Johnny Odell's edits for that, and so I love being able to sort of bring on the people that I discovered through the work, through the space. When I was a fan of just like that pandemic era of just finding new people cropping up, and it's great to have you guys on here for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really.
Where can we find you on social media, YouTube, otherwise?
Social media on Instagram, you can find us at Core4VT Reacts, as well as our Twitter, as well as our YouTube page, our Patreon. If you guys see our videos in a compilation, you can definitely just click and subscribe.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Thank you for joining us and watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're watching this on the newsletter through Passion Fruit, please subscribe to that and share it as well. We appreciate the shares, and we'll catch you on the next one.